Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us here on Knowledge or Nonsense. Tonight we are going to discuss, tonight and Thursday, we're going to discuss some of the methods, some of the things we've seen, some of the things we've heard, some of the counsel that we've been able to give as it relates to reprocessing N95 masks. I don't know if we'll do a lot of outrage right now about reprocessing because we are not reprocessing, we are processing these masks. And so we just want to talk about some of the ways that possibly you could do to improve how that's going and how that's working for you. Let me fix some things here since the screen is gone. And so, Lorraine and Danny, thanks so much for joining us. Again, we have Lorraine Perkins with us, President of Surgical Services with CS Assist. We have Danny Vasquez, subject matter expert, hailing out of the New York area. These gentlemen bring a wealth of information. Shortly, Lila Price will be joining us. She's an educator, a profound knowledge of sterile processing. She's an advocate and she's an enthusiast about sterile processing, just the processes, the methods that we use, why we do what we do. And so we're going to get into some questions today. We'll talk about aerosol and how letting the public know a little bit more about aerosol can help the public position themselves as these restrictions are lifting. Because even though the restrictions are lifting, it doesn't mean COVID is diminishing. And so first, though, let's talk about these N95 masks. And again, people all over the nation, they are doing this, processing with them. They are trying to navigate how to get them decontaminated and keep them healthy. What are some things you gentlemen have seen? Luane, what are some things you've seen?
Well, I think we're in the midst of, we didn't have a chance to start from the beginning with regards to reprocessing of these N95 masks. Even before this crisis, I urge everyone to go and check out the CDC's website. The CDC established what's called the Hospital Respiratory Protection Program Toolkit. Hospital Respiratory Protection Program Toolkit. This was a list of tools provided to healthcare facilities for ATDs, or aerosol transmissible diseases. So this toolkit was a collective document that gave step-by-step instructions on how healthcare personnel can, on the administrative side and operationally, protect themselves from ATDs, or aerosol transmissible diseases. These guidelines were later expanded to cover this N95 scenario. So there were already some protectionary measures in place for a crisis around ATDs, or aerosol transmissible diseases. So I think as we begin to talk about the current state with N95 masks, we should also go back to see what protectionary measures were already in place for diseases or pathogens that can travel by way of aerosolization.
Yeah, and to piggy off of that, a lot of the things that are happening right now, a lot of the information that's coming out is forever, like, constantly changing and evolving. When we first started thinking of reprocessing masks throughout the nation, people were saying, oh, just use a Cavicide wipe, use soap and water, use alcohol. Now that we're studying more of the processes and how it impacts the mask, we realize those are not effective methods. There's a lot of different types of masks out there. We have the N95 mask now. We have the surgical N95, the NIOSH mask that were just approved from over the pond, as they say. They have the N99 mask, the N100 mask, and the P100 mask. Right now, what we feel is something that we should be utilizing are the N95 masks. It's a way to just be safe, be on top of everything, and we don't have to basically overkill something. We don't have to go around with the big P100 mask with the 2 filters on it, but we have to keep in mind that the information out there is constantly evolving. They're still running studies right now. If you visit the website, www.n95decon.org/caution, they have some great fact sheets of what to use, what not to use. They go through the whole autoclaving, the heat, the UV. They touch on all those different types of methods and what can be utilized and what we realize that does impact the efficiency and the effectiveness of a mask. So we just have to keep educating ourselves as every day that passes with the information that we're provided.
Yeah, very, very, very valid point. And we had a conversation about this before. How we are trained to process or kill biological or pathogen is, if it's dirty, first it must be cleaned.
Yeah.
After it's clean, we have to know the difference between what once was dirty, once was clean. And after it's clean, we have to now kill that germ. One challenge our colleagues across the country are having, we're told we know this is dirty, and then we have to now clarify what's our definition of dirty.
Right.
Well, there's no visible bioburden, you know. So we were given instruction on how to decontaminate these masks, but not how to clean these masks. So by default, we were being told by the most brilliant people on the planet, yes, you have to skip a step.
Right.
This goes against everything we were trained as cell processing professionals, that we have to skip a step. And so we sort of sheltered that mindset because of the crisis, right? Now that with cities opening across the country, what happens when we have to default back to our logical train of thought, thinking consciously or self-consciously in this process of dirty to clean, clean to kill. Then we measure our kill rate. Dirty to clean, clean to kill. I think that's going to be a challenge for some.
No, absolutely. Like what we spoke about, I believe it was last week, we're all taught that if it's not clean, it's not sterile. But like a lot of the people have said that come on here, we're not trying to sterilize these masks. We're just trying to properly clean them. They have like different methods that we're speaking about. One personally, in my opinion, that I really champion for is the autoclaving of it, the steam sterilization. Bring it down, peel pouch upstairs, write the nurse's name and the clinic or the doctor's name. Then once it gets into the prep and pack side, have a little designated space where you could double peel pack it and then have throw it in the autoclave. You know, you wanna have it touch the least amount of spaces within your central sterile department as possible. You don't want any cross contamination. But those are just some of the ideas. Like no one before COVID would think of, oh, let's just bring something from the outside into the prep and pack. But now it's like we have to make these little adjustments just to make sure that we're keeping not only ourselves safe, but our colleagues in the front, in the clinic safe as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know here toward middle America, Arlene is saying that we are rendering them virus free. And Sharon said that only as a guest, we're not even cleaning. I know somewhere in the middle America area, I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there are people who are like doing the double peel pouch, you know, the peel packing, you know, that's how they're doing that. Here, there's a university hospital in this area. Even today, NBC had they did like one of those investigative reporting where the nurses were scared to show their face, but they were talking and they were showing like the trash cans, the office trash cans, with a bunch of the masks just thrown in there. And it's like, this is not trash, don't throw away. Like there was no plastic. I mean, it was nothing. It wasn't, all of the masks were kind of in there together, just in a hard plastic container, but they were not in another plastic container inside of them. And so, you know, some of the nurses were like, you know, we don't know how safe this is. We don't know how safe this is. They don't know about whether the material is degrading or anything like that. And so, you know, it's just, so that's what we're doing. We're just talking about different methods. And like I said, here in Texas, as of Friday, restrictions are lifted. So restaurants and movie theaters will be open. They are supposed to only be at 25% capacity, but still, you know, a lot of people in the public, they hear it's open and it's open. Already I'm seeing people out with, you know, they don't have masks on. When we're driving, I'm seeing mothers with their children going in grocery stores. There's no mask. They're not taking these precautions that would really be in their best interest at this time. And so that's why I really wanted us to talk about the aerosol component, not just only inside of the department, but what that looks like in a public place. When people are breathing, or people are jogging, or you guys are sharing a place, even if you do have about 6 feet, but if you're going to cross one another, when you're going different directions, that 6 feet gets short, you know, because you have to cross one another and it's a sidewalk. And so I just really wanted us to kind of share maybe how air travels. Like in sterile processing, we have these air exchanges. to kind of help us breathe a little cleaner. That's not necessarily so out in the public. Do you guys have any feedback or anything that you would want to share with the public? Actually, and I'm going to give you a few minutes. I'm going to pay a sponsor and say thanks to the people who allow me to come on, who sponsor UCDI to be able to share this, which is CS Assist and SIPS Consults. But I would like for you guys to think about that so we can share that with our communities, because communities are going out, people have to go to work and they don't have the knowledge that you have. But if you could give them some tidbits, if you could share some tidbits so that people could just be safer. So while we're going to go ahead and look at this one, and then I'll be right back. 1 minute.
At SIPS Consult, we understand that these are changing times, and these are times for unity. SIPS Consult would like to extend complimentary sterile processing, consulting, and educational services to support your sterile processing department needs during this COVID-19 crisis. Everyone is aware that things are extremely challenging right now. We want to personally thank you for caring for our communities. We appreciate you. We appreciate you being in this fight for us and with us, and remaining on the front lines. In an effort to provide SPD support during this time, we have created a non-automated 24/7 complimentary helpline with subject matter experts to support your department. We encourage you to call us with any sterile processing questions or inquiries. To speak with one of our dedicated consultants, please call us at the number below.
Excellent. Thanks so much to SIPS Consults and CS Assist. If you guys look in the screen behind, you'll see the CS Assist logo. CS Assist is a dynamic resource for anything you need sterile processing, anything from policies and procedures to just having an eye to really help, especially for ambulatory surgery centers, ASCs. It's really a nice eye to help you with the cross training and to be up to par in your sterilization department. And so here we are, we're back. What about as they're opening this thing up and our families, our colleagues, our loved ones, people are getting back out there, our community is getting back out there to go to work? What are some tips, because again, COVID hasn't gone down. If you talk to people at facilities, cases are still going up. People are still testing positive, but people do have to get back to work. So what are some things that people can do to really kind of prepare themselves without being paranoid?
Well, I want to start off. I want to also address Arlene's question that she said we are rendering them virus free. Mm-hmm. Arlene, I agree with you 100%. The greater concern for us was at the point of custody. These masks transferring through the corridor from the OR down to SPD. That's where a lot of our colleagues are finding some challenges. So Sharon, to your point, to your question at hand, on an earlier show, we said that MIT did a study. At MIT, they did a study that cough and sneeze droplets travel much further than just 6 feet. They said in some cases it was 25 feet. That this aerosolization of droplets can travel, harmful droplets. So I think we should take the approach that some cities are taking, that when in public, there right now during this pandemic, you should have a mask on. I think that's the only surefire way. I can tell you in the county I live in, they've also mandated that when you're on the trail jogging or on a bicycle, to have a mask on. We just can't guarantee that 6 feet is enough. There's still so many unknown factors about this transmissible disease. And I also want folks to Google MIT study on cough and sneezes. It'll open your mind to a lot of what's out there, that we need to be a heightened awareness greater than just 6 feet.
All right, and for those who don't know, 25 feet is almost a third of a basketball court, of a kid's basketball court. A child's basketball court is 84 feet. Regular basketball court in high school is about 94 feet. So almost a third of that. So that's quite a way for you to feel, for some breath to hit you.
To touch on what also Ms. Green Golden said, concerning the not cleaning. Yeah, I would like to correct myself. We're not cleaning the mask. We're basically making it, like you said, virus free. But something that I should also emphasize is, if it's visibly compromised, if it's visibly soiled, it should not be reprocessed. It should not be attempted to be reused. It should be discarded, and a new mask should be used. So if it's visibly soiled, or if a strap is missing, or it's just something that within the mask that's compromised, you should not. No individual, no leadership should be telling you to reuse that mask. You should go ahead and get another mask. And as for someone else that said, I believe it's Miss Arlene Bush, said that what are our thoughts about hydrogen peroxide fogging up? I personally don't feel comfortable, and that was just my personal opinion. I don't feel out yet for me to feel comfortable to recommend that, even though the CDC has posted up some things that explain some methods of reprocessing it. I personally wouldn't feel comfortable having that recommendation out there. But that, again, I'm not the CDC, so I feel like you should follow CDC practices to whatever they're explaining or describing.
All right, I do want to say this, and then I'm gonna, Lila, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Definitely gonna let you weigh in. No, we're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here. Thanks for being here. Dynamic educator, subject matter expert. For those of you who are not in sterile processing, when he's saying visibly soiled, I want to make it plain for you. If you're not in SPD, that means if your lipstick is on it, that's visibly soiled. If there's something on it, that's visibly soiled. Visibly soiled sounds great, and that's common language for those who are in SPD. You can visibly see something on it. But sometimes when we think of soil, we think of like drastic measures, like, you soiling your pants. I don't mean to be gross, but if you're outside of SPD, that's how you think of it. Visibly soiled meaning if your lipstick is in there, it's time to switch it up. That's not something you want to try to wash out or something like that, because the material can degrade and the effectiveness of it is not the same. So for those of us where you're opening up cities and you don't work in sterile processing, this is what this language means. We're making it plain because we're all a community. Lila, what are some processes you've seen where what methods have you seen where people are actually processing, AKA reprocessing these masks?
A lot of information that I've seen is still, again, like we've all been discussing, it's so new and so unheard of. Like this is a different world for us right now, especially sterile processing. We're used to, when we perceive things to come into our department, once they come to decontamination, it's dirty. I don't care how it got there. It's labeled in the biohazard bin, it's contaminated beyond any type of rendering for me to touch it with regular hands. So I need to put it through some type of decontamination process. So for a lot of us, it's going to be hard for us to wrap our head around this new process of decontaminating N95 masks for whatever reason. But to get to a lot of the processes that I've seen, for me, I've read about the BioQuell, I've read about ultraviolet radiation, ASP has put out their paper, Steris has put out their ViproMax cycle information, and a lot of this information is great, but you have to kind of read between the lines. What I found is that a lot of places, they will only tell you, this is good for a certain type of mask. So that ViproMax is validated for that 3M N95. Doesn't talk about anybody else's N95. Talks about
Say it again for the people in the back. It's not a standardized. It's not good nationwide, and it's not standardized. It's not one size fits all. So you have to read.
Yes, and although they did get their EUA, which is emergency authorization, that's great, and they have that from the FDA. But again, it's for that 3M and 95. So do your research. ASP supplies some great information, but again, they tell you to make sure that you check the components of that N95 to make sure that they are compatible with their machines. So again, do your research. Danny was just pointing out great points about visibly soiled, but again, we don't see everything. Our eyes are not trained to see viruses. I don't know anybody that can. I don't know if you have that special Superman, Avenger technology in your eyes, then you can see things that the rest of us can't see. But I don't have sight beyond sight. I have to rely on what I can see, and unfortunately, we can't see this virus. So take precautions, do the right thing. I've seen some other people post what their facilities are doing, like they have they send the mask down and they mark on them, you know, this is the second time it's being reprocessed or going through the decontamination process. So I've seen some different things and asked some questions from some other techs out there. But we're all just playing this game right now. We don't know how it's going to roll. We're kind of just rolling the dice and seeing how it falls and hoping that we're doing the right thing because we're in a state of emergency. So it's a difficult world to tread through because for me, it's like you want to be right all the time and you can't be right sometimes. And so, and we're playing against the law of the averages, but we want to save people's lives and we want to keep people safe. So we have to try to do as much as we can, do our due diligence, do our research. Don't just start doing what everyone else is doing because X facility said it's working for us right now. Let's do our research. Let's play it out because these are people's lives at the end of this. At the end of the day, we're putting our front line responders, our people out here into this process, and we don't know what they're going to come back with. Even for our people reprocessing, I care about our technicians. I don't want you touching something that has been sitting only. God knows where it was sitting at the time before it even came to the department to have a decontamination. So
I'm telling you,
be careful, protect yourself, continue doing what you're doing. You know, if you don't know about PPE by this point in time in your career in sterile processing, it's time for you to move on because you should be wearing PPE every day, all the time, especially right now.
Wow, I'm just
gonna to say I was off for 15 minutes.
No. But see, this is why we do this. We do this for our community, and we've been on 20 minutes. We always try to keep it short, but we do have some people on. We do it for our community within the healthcare, but we also do it for the community outside of the healthcare because they don't know. You say visibly soiled, they're not going to hear it the way we hear it. When you say aerosol, they're not going to hear it the way we hear it. These, subject matter experts, 30 years, like Sharon Green Golden, who was on past president, like years and years, fellows, we have, what is triple crowns on here, all these certifications of sterilizations. Here we have somebody, I'm going to put this on and I'm going to take it right back off. I'm so hopeful that she'll be able to join us at one time soon, hopefully. But she's saying that they're reprocessing theirs up to 5 times. They say up to 5 times these masks are being reprocessed. I know if Sharon was on here right now, she'd be like, ew, because that's a lot.
Right here in New York City, actually, they're reusing the mask for weeks on end. So that's why it's different everywhere, but that's why we're like in completely uncharted territory. A lot of the stuff we're doing, we would never do. We would never even consider reprocessing a mask. If a doctor came in pre-COVID and asked us to reprocess the mask, we would look at them like they're crazy. But to touch on a point that I believe Miss Cherry asked, let me just scroll back up.
Yeah, I got it. I'll bring it up for you. As the states are opening back up.
There you go, something we should be mindful about when we're opening up all the states and the government is to not get too comfortable. It seems like there's a lot of people that aren't familiar with PPE, that aren't familiar to SPD, and I guess I'm more speaking to them that they're wearing their mask on their chin. They're constantly touching it, putting on and off. And I think we need to start educating the people outside because some people are just putting the mask on where they're passing by people, not realizing that they might have the virus on their hands or just other germs on their hands, putting it on the mask and then putting it on their face, and then it just spreads in that sense. But there's just a lot of, we haven't dealt with the crisis yet at all. The comparison I always use is there were hungry lions out in the street and they were killing people. We all stayed inside, and now that because the lions are eating less people, people are telling us to go outside because they killed less people. The lions are still out there. They're still eat people. So we have to do the best we can to avoid basically getting eaten. We have to make sure we're hand washing properly. And again, this is to people that aren't aware of the PPEs or SPD processes. Hand washing is the number one thing that we should focus on. If you're going to wear a mask, wear it properly. Don't constantly keep practicing social distancing and don't get comfortable. This is not something we could get comfortable with. We don't want this to keep arising and hitting us in waves. And right now, from all the tests they're doing out there, it seems like it is very probable that that's what's going to happen. So we have to do the best we can to just keep educating, keep our colleagues and families and loved ones safe.
All right. I totally agree. Anyone have anything before I say some final words and we go ahead and get off? Thank you guys so much. We're 25 minutes in. I love it when it's good. I mean, it's always good, but I love it when we're doing things that benefit us and benefit the community, because this knowledge is helpful. You know, it's helpful knowledge. And so, anyone have any final comments before I weigh?
Just one final comment. I would love our viewers and family members to look up herd immunity. The National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, they put out an amazing colorful chart that explains what herd immunity is. And once you understand what herd immunity is, whereas 70 to 90% of the people of a population can come in contact and get this infectious disease, then it brings a new light on why certain cities are trying to be open. You know, we have to follow the science. So a good way to follow the science is to stay abreast and educate yourself. So Google the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, and it will give you some great information on how airborne diseases are transmitted and what herd immunity is. So educate yourself.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I just want to say, I think I misspelled. Oh, I did misspell institute. I'll put it in later. I was trying to type real fast.
No, but just touch on the herd immunity, and something we should, for herd immunity to be beneficial or even valid, we have to have at least a population of, I believe it's 70%. It might be 80, so don't quote me on that, of us with antibodies or that are immune to it. Right now, from the preliminary test that they're doing concerning the antibodies of COVID-19, I think they came up with 14%, so we're nowhere near herd immunity.
Wow.
So that's why we have to like.
See, that's what I'm saying. This is good information.
Mask up.
Mask up. You're right, Danielle. Mask up.
Mask up.
Danielle, she's out of the Oklahoma area, another subject matter expert. Mask up, mask up. And for those of you who are not in sterile processing, again, those who are in the public sector, and you know you're listening, please, if you have just a bandana or someone's making you a mask because it's cute, please have some type of filter in there. Go and look at different filters. See what some of your options are. You know, go to Home Depot, look at different filters and see what you can put inside of these masks, because you want to have something that can like kill the virus and block the virus from getting in. You don't want to just look cute. I know some of us look cute. You got on your mask, you're feeling like you're on a TV show. Yes. No, that's purging the wrong way. So please make sure you have a filter or something in there. Again, not because you may be gonna die or anything like that, but just being sick and going through that for a couple of weeks, that can still impact your income. It can impact your family. And so if you don't have to go through that, don't go through it. I want to thank you guys so much for spending time. As they're lifting restrictions, still be mindful. Do not just act like COVID is not out there. As you said, the lion is still there. You don't have to be paranoid, but you definitely want to be aware. You want to be aware, and you want to take steps to ensure the safety of you, the safety and good health of you, those around you, and those you come into contact with. It's our duty to do so. I see some people in Maryland saying this is so nerving. This is someone, again, this person is not in sterile processing. And so that's why I thank you all so much for sharing this information and making it plain. Charlene, you went on earlier. They said if it's visibly soiled, I mean, if there's some lipstick in there, I mean, if you stop and we get some food or fast food, you got some little food crumbs in there, that's visibly soiled. You don't need to rewear that. You don't rub sanitizer on it and be like, it's okay. It's not. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. We'll be back Thursday evening. We'll talk some more about this, and we're going to talk about ways really just to help prepare you, help make you more prepared as we are navigating this, because we're going to be wearing masks for a while. So we want to know what we need to know about it. People in sterile processing, you're going to be reprocessing, processing, whatever they call it. It's not sterilizing, decontaminating. And some things you're going to be doing with it. Make sure, just like we do IFUs, make sure you are applying the right principle and the right process to the right equipment. Make sure it's not a blanket approach. It's not one size fits all. So that's all we have for today. You guys, thank you so much. I am going to share, mask up. Yeah, mask up, mask up. Remember the drill.
And wash your hands.
For those
Wash
in
your hands.
the
That's
wash your hands. 20. Happy birthday to you.
Right.
Wash everything. Yes. Do
Yeah,
good
but
hygiene.
for everyone out there, please check the fact sheets from the links provided. You know, keep yourself educated, keep yourself up to date with everything, because what we're even saying now could be completely different next week or even tomorrow. So
Right.
let's make sure education is key as always.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, guys. Thank you so much. My name is Sharon. This has been Knowledge or Nonsense.
Thank you.
We want to make sure that we're implementing knowledge and not nonsense. We'll be back Thursday. Y'all have a great day. Thanks so much to SIPS and CS Assist for sponsoring. And yeah, talk to you guys later.
Bye.
At SIPS Consult, we understand that these are changing times, and these are times for unity. SIPS Consult would like to extend complimentary sterile processing, consulting, and educational services to support your sterile processing department needs during this COVID-19 crisis. Everyone is aware that things are extremely challenging right now. We want to personally thank you for caring for our communities. We appreciate you. We appreciate you being in this fight for us and with us and remaining on the front lines. In an effort to provide SPD support during this time, we have created a non-automated 24/7 complimentary helpline with subject matter experts to support your department. We encourage you to call us with any sterile processing questions or inquiries. To speak with one of our dedicated consultants, please call us at the number below.